Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat, and you can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can also find me at Roddykat on, you can also find me at News Need on Twitter. You can also find me at CB Caps on Instagram. And the sound effects you've heard come from no other than our man in Brooklyn, because you know Brooklyn's in the house, representing Briefcase of the Book Fullest and all that good jazz. Agent _70 on Twitter and Instagram.
What's up, everybody?
Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at?
Absolutely. And as we do every week, you can find us here. You can find us there. You can find us everywhere, such as the Cole Slither Podcast Network, the CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, or Apple, podcasts as the name sometimes goes, Spotify, or the Cole Slither Podcast Network's SoundCloud page. You could also find us on Twitch, where we are streaming alongside the Click Nation's YouTube channel, because we stream there every week. Hey, how you doing?
What's up, all you Twitch folks out there?
Exactly. So yeah, wherever you can find us on audio every week, but we'll get to that part later when we get to the end of the show. So we're going to get into the comic books of the week, starting off with Shang-Chi #1. And
so this is the latest volume of Shang-Chi comics
ongoing.
After what, like 100+ issue run?
I believe this would make 127.
Right. No, but in terms of the initial run.
Right. But that's what I'm saying.
100+ issue run, the original 100+ issue run.
Right.
In the 1970s, there have been just a few instances where Shang-Chi has appeared. He's been guest stars in Heroes for Hire and Avengers, but now is given a little bit more of a platform, a little bit more of a place to shine in his own limited series for now.
Yes, indeed. And yes, and I also bring up that the 127 because of that, that one issue that we like to forget, that I admittedly I made mention of in my notes.
With the monkey, it had a monkey in it. That's what I remember.
Yeah, which was probably the best part of that, but the rest of that thing was kind of hot to garbage.
Forgettable.
Yeah, but this, however, is good. Like it starts off with a little bit of history, going back to some stuff. I kind of sort of liken it to, and granted, I have not read Fraction's Immortal Weapons run yet, so I can't really make that claim. But from what I've read in Iron Fist, after that, this feels like it's kind of a similar setup where it's like, yeah, there's this society that, the Five Weapons Society that was around back in the day, and Fin Fang Foom shows up, and they go a little history of that, and leading into what was that Shang-Chi's dad, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then what subsequently happens to them. Then it cuts to the modern day, where we find Shang-Chi in San Francisco helping out someone's grandmom in their shop, which I thought was kind of, I'm like, sure, his Shang-Chi just doing a regular job, because as he even said himself, like, yeah, it's kind of hard for him to keep a regular job.
Right. And it was a job that it was, you can finish your thoughts and then I'll chime in.
No, go ahead. Say what you're going to say.
I was going to mention that this is that this particular job in a Chinese bakery obviously has lots of cultural significance, and it helps that nearly the entire creative team on this book is Asian.
Yes.
I think everyone but the letterer is of Chinese or at least of Asian descent. So
In fact, yeah, we need
it's
to let's run that down. I know we've talked about it before. Um, was it Jean Luen Yang, who is
right.
the
Jean Wen
writer?
Yang on the scripts.
Right.
DK Ruan is the artist. Um, I think the colorist. Oh no, Philip Tan has
Mm-hmm.
some. I think he does the opening flashback pages where they dump all the lore. I think those are all Philip Tan pages.
Okay.
And we go to DK Ruan, who does I think the modern day stuff.
She
Uh,
that yeah.
um,
Let's see.
I'm pretty sure that's how it breaks down. I mean, I'm just basing this off of what I see from the difference in the art.
Yeah, I'm looking at. Well, I'm actually looking at the page where they're doing it. So yeah, pretty much we were right about. Yeah, DK Ruan is the artist. Philip Tan is the flashback artist. Sebastian Chang is the colorist.
Correct.
Like you said, yeah, Travis Lanham is the letterer, and Jim Chung does the art with Laura Martin.
Yeah, the cover art.
Yeah.
Um, but as I mentioned, putting Shang-Chi into this, into the situations that he's coming from and that he's currently in is definitely uh, reflective of the fact that there is an Asian writer at the helm,
Mm-hmm.
giving this character. And I think the editor is actually Asian too. Come to think of it, um, I'd have to take a look at the letters page, but ultimately getting back to the what they're trying to accomplish here. As you mentioned, there definitely are some cues from the Immortal Iron Fist series. There are, no question about it. But there's a reason for that.
Right.
I think there is a concerted effort, and Jean Luen Yang has stated in multiple interviews. I did some reading online about this yesterday and again today, that he's trying to make Shang-Chi literally more three-dimensional because
Right.
the character has usually been something that
Of a caricature.
readers, not even caricatures, but something that readers and even fellow Marvel characters actually marvel at, pun intended. They watch him, you know, they don't necessarily treat him as a three-dimensional character, and it's not necessarily someone that readers empathize with.
Right. I say character because, like, let's face it, we can't pretend that his origin is not steeped in some sort of, it's basically not Bruce Lee of a sort.
Of course,
So,
and it's also got roots in Yellow Peril stuff with
exactly.
his original father being Fu Manchu,
Mm-hmm.
and all sorts of that was all sorts of stuff that was rooted in the Yellow Peril storytelling.
Exactly.
Uh, So, what Gene Yang is doing here is trying to, and it's something that Jason Aaron did on. Was it Jason Aaron who did it on Secret Avengers when they switched it up to Zheng Zhu?
Oh, shoot. I don't remember. If that sounds possible,
No, or was it? I don't know if it
I'm not
was.
sure.
I don't know if it was Hickman on Secret Avengers at that point. It was like issue 7 through 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
But I can't remember um, who set that up. But the point is, they started the retcon of the character's origins, and at that point, and they're continuing to follow up on that now. So ultimately, I think it's Brubaker. It is Brubaker.
Okay. That actually kind of makes
I
more
mean, they were
sense then.
working. I mean, it was definitely during uh, Hickman's run on Avengers,
Right.
but this is Brubaker on Secret Avengers.
Gotcha. Yeah, going back to what we are saying about the editing staff, as Lauren Amaro is the assistant editor, Darren Shan is the editor.
Yeah, pause on that. It's actually before Hickman's run on Avengers. This is previous to that because this is in 2010, 2011. So this was
Okay,
like the very first Secret Avengers run.
sure. And the less we say about CB Cebulski and his, his former transgressions.
I was Hey, why even bring him up in this? There's
Yeah,
no
I
point.
know, but
Not even
I'm sure
close to this.
I'm sure somebody would have.
No, Tom Brevoort's the editor on this. I'm good with
No,
Tom
he's
Brevoort.
not. Well,
No, I'm talking about the original Secret Avengers when they changed it up.
oh no, I'm talking about the Shang-Chi now.
Oh, I'm talking about now.
Yeah.
I'm talking about now. I got
Yeah.
you.
But regardless, so yeah, so we see Shang-Chi is going through his day as a banker, and they bring up pineapple buns, and I was like, I want to try this. Is this is actually? I mean, I'm not saying this is. I have no reason to believe that it's not a real thing, but
You just got to walk into a Chinese bakery. You know.
you know what? I'm not exactly in a place that those are prevalent, but
that is a fact, unfortunately, that is prevalent around much of the country. I actually have to drive to my closest Chinese bakery, but I definitely have my choice.
but I'm looking them up, and they look good.
So, they are bread. So, if you're trying to cut back on carbs,
Sure.
but at the end of the day, they're still yummy as hell. So it's all good. Well, anyway,
But anyway, yeah.
just to get back to Anyway, getting back to the story, as we said, the whole point of this is to kind of refresh the character and give him some depth and some backstory. And the backstory that that Gene Yang has provided is this secret cult, kind of changing up Shang-Chi's origin story a bit, saying that he kind of grew up in the midst of a cult as the rest of China kind of modernized around them. And we have these, what is it, the five the five weapon societies.
Yeah.
We have the five weapon societies that are essentially the armed forces of Zhengzhou, Shang-Chi's father, and they they definitely work towards nefarious ends, as we find out as time has gone on. But now apparently something has happened so that Shang-Chi is expected to step up and take on a leadership role that Shang-Chi is essentially unaware of, and that essentially creates the main conflict, at least of the 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 first main conflict that we encounter in the story for the character. So we'll see how that goes, and we're introduced to a character that is retconned in as a familial relation. And
Yes.
while I am spoiling things here, I should be ringing the spoiler bell.
We got one before the show, so don't worry about it. I mean, they still do that, but yeah.
Exactly. I'm still dancing around much of the plot. So
Yeah.
I'm dancing around much of the plot points that would really spoil the entire thing. So ultimately, that's where we are at the end of issue 1. It was fun. There is a bit, as I said earlier, as I said, was it I think it was last week's episode, where we had to deal with a little bit of backstory. What did I call it? A lore dump.
Yes.
So I think essentially that's what Gene Yang accomplished in the first 5 pages of this. But bear with the book. It's worth making it through that to get to the main character and seeing where he is now and how he's adjusting to life not being on the main roster of the Avengers at this point.
Right. I mean, it's not like exposition heavy, so it's not just, so we don't want to be like, hey, this makes it sound like it's like all that heavy. It's not. It's like it's a 5 pages and it kind of breezes through. It's a fairly easy read actually. Even with all that, it gets it pretty much hits the final points. If you want to know more, you can go kind of go seek that stuff out. But
what I was going to say is I think we have to bear in mind that there are people who aren't as familiar with his backstory. Because I think what we were doing was taking his backstory and seeing how it's being manipulated and retconned. So I'm trying at least to look at it from the perspective of a brand new reader to the Shang-Chi mythos and seeing how that goes. Just bear with, like I said, just bear with the bit of lore dump at the beginning, and you'll see how that all relates back by the end of issue number 1.
Right. I kind of hesitate to call it a dump, but I guess for intents and purposes, I guess it kind of is because you do, like I said, you do get kind of finer points to it. But regardless, we also get introduced to another character that is going to play a part in Shang-Chi's life, and that is of Sister Dagger, who is from another one of the arms of the five weapons. And I have in my notes, I was like, she's kind of plucky, she's clearly skilled and all that and whatnot, but she's young and she's got a little bit of a mouth on her, and I was like, okay, I hopefully they don't play her. I doubt they will, but hopefully they don't play her too like Damian Wayne-ish or something like that. But
part of me was like, yo, why they gotta talk bad about Donatello like that?
I know, right? Yeah, I didn't notice that part where they were talking about the boat. Yeah, I was like, yeah, it definitely, yeah.
Come on, man.
I thought about that for a brief second. I was like, I'm just gonna move past this because I'm like, they're not gonna play my man like that. But
I'm like,
or my turtle like that rather. But still,
yeah, exactly. I'm like, come on, man, you're not gonna diss Donatello like that. I mean, we all were thinking that when we were kids too. Like, you get a stick.
Yeah, Donatello's always been a man with the stick. So I refuse. I refuse the slander. I tell you.
That's
but anyway, so yeah, you get introduced to her, and then so somebody comes back into Chang's life because she, as a part of this whole thing. But regardless, like I said, what was I saying about Sister Dagger though was that I kind of hope, and I hope this continues to play out, that she ends up being like a as good as I'm thinking she potentially could be, but also would love to see a team up between her and Pei from
Iron Fist.
Yeah, like that ought to be pretty hilarious. But regardless, it's safe to say that we both enjoyed this first issue.
No, it's a good start. That's what I really appreciated about it. I really appreciated that it was a good start, and definitely borrowing some of the cues from Immortal Iron Fist. But that was a great series. I love that series. It really made the fact that that stupid guy from Game of Thrones really blowing it on the Iron Fist Netflix series even harder to take.
And to be fair, it's not just him, but yeah, it is definitely him. So yeah, and it's definitely like, again, it's not that 126 issue with all that stupidity in it. Which
funky.
Yeah. So regardless, though, I say if you're so interested, you should definitely check out this book. And obviously, obviously, but there is a movie coming out from Shang-Chi, so this is clearly in line with that upcoming thing. But I'm hoping this has legs. Like, I'm hoping they don't do what they did with Black Panther, and it's like, oh yeah, like, granted they restarted it, but that's is what it is. Like, hey, here's the Black Panther movie, and we don't have a Black Panther series to go with it, but then they end up starting back one later. So,
yep.
So hopefully this is going to be an ongoing that people pick up, and it's going to continue to be good, because clearly the creative team is in it, and going back to that point, last week I believe there was an article such as one Agent 70 was talking about earlier, where Gene Luen Yang was talking about what he wants to do with it, and you can go into last week's show notes and go check that out, if I'm not mistaken. So we are going to move on to another book of the week.
What's next?
I guess since we talked about it, or we brought it up earlier in the show, let's go. You want to go with the big biggie?
X Factor number 4?
Yep. So X Factor number 4, which is 10 of Swords, X of Swords, chapter 2.
Right.
We find ourselves pretty much at the after what happened in last week's Creation number 1 issue. This is pretty much the Krakoans getting back to Krakoa, licking their wounds, and
right. This is the immediate aftermath of their. They have to beat a hasty retreat from Otherworld at the end of creation, as you mentioned. So
Mhm.
that's where this book leads off. Um, I would say that without spoiling everything,
Right.
because I want to do that. I definitely think people should be reading Ten of Swords, as kind of hokey as the title makes it.
Oh no,
Makes it sound.
especially this issue.
I'm sorry.
I said
I'm sorry.
especially this issue.
Right. You gotta catch up on this, right? Like this is the time. This is the book to read. Obviously we're only 2 books in.
Mhm.
You read Creation and read this, but the stakes for the mutants of Krakoa are definitely raised in this issue. I'm really glad this came in the second official issue of the crossover. So even though we had like these 2 prelude issues, it was like X-Men 10 or 12 and Excalibur number 12.
Mhm.
Those are important to read because you kind of get the precursor of how the Krakoans get to Otherworld, and you get some of what's sad. I wanted to let you know, Roddykat, that I was listening to, I think it was This Week in Marvel last week's episode,
Mhm.
and Teenie Howard was on as a guest,
Oh,
and
nice.
she pronounced it Saturnine.
Ah,
So
okay.
I'm more than willing to go with her. She's the writer on the book.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with her pronouncing it Saturnine. So
Yeah,
uh,
because yeah, folks, if you hadn't heard or watched last week's show, we were kind of curious about that because I have never heard like I know of the character and I've never heard it said out loud in all these years. So
exactly,
that was the
exactly.
reason
So
why that's coming up.
right. So just letting Roddy Cat know that. But if you have any more thoughts on this issue, I just think it's super important. It's a potential click of the week for me as
Oh,
well.
for certain. Same here. I will just say that the only thing I will actually bring up from the real book was like there's a couple of so there was the mentions of prophecy that happened in this book and those bear out here and I honestly when I got to that part it was like okay I'm gonna try to figure out who these is. Some of them are pretty easy to figure out by the way they're worded and a couple of them was like and even they had the voice of the readers one cipher aka Doug Ramsey basically going back a couple of pages later and being like, well, so let's try to decipher this out and see what it's of. And that was actually I was actually wrong about a couple of them because I didn't think about a couple of folks. But regardless, that's in there, and I will definitely say that the big thing about this issue is we found out that let's just say the resurrection protocols has a limitation that come to bear into this this issue that becomes very important going forward
Yep.
in this event, and you should definitely check out what that is. Also, the only other thing is Saturnine did something that like okay, well she was so bothered about what was going on with the encroachment into Overworld, she could have done well before now if she had the power to do that. But she does something in this issue that kind of limits limit limits travel Overworld. Except we find out later something else has happened. But we know she has her reasons. She has her reasons. She has her own machinations going on. So that's a whole other thing. So that being said, though, definitely if you let me so going back to caveat, if you're not caught up on the X series books, it is worth definitely going back to Hoxpox, reading that and catching up. We're still relatively early on. Like yeah, most books are kind of at issues 12 right now, and some of them there's a couple of books like X Factor that just really started a couple of months ago, but it's the X stuff has been pretty good so far, and hopefully this event continues on that streak.
Right.
It's definitely starting off really good.
Right. I was about to say no offense to Brian Edward Hill, former guest of the show, but you could probably skip Fallen Angels.
Well, I mean, it's
Um,
dead anyway, so yeah,
yeah, but you don't have to go back and read it. I
yeah.
think in terms of in terms of Ten of Swords, I really am enthusiastic about this crossover and this issue. Well, the first 2 issues, I mean, this is really a one great way to really establish the stakes
Mm-hmm.
of the story. So, as I said earlier, I'm so glad this came in the second issue.
Right.
It really raises the bar for everyone involved. So,
Which I felt like it probably kind of had to, because if they had gone into this and you know everything had kind of started off and with the big Contest of Champions or whatever, I feel like that would, and then they would have found this out. It would have been a little late. So the fact that I feel like it was probably good that they did this here and now. So it's like, all right, going into this, we know that
oh yeah, exactly. But that's my point. It was just a really good storytelling choice
Mm-hmm.
on Hickman and Howard's part, because I think they're the main architects of this, to be honest.
Correct.
But
So
anyway,
that being said, that's X Factor number 4. So what?
I think we're wrapped with X Factor number 4 this week.
Mm-hmm.
Next.
You wanna put out one?
Let's see. What did you read that we can discuss? How about Strange Academy number 3?
Yay! Strange Academy number 3. Yes, is good.
I'll tell you that I still don't know all the names of these characters, and obviously it's pandemic related because we have had large gaps in between, seeing, when this book was released, what was announced, and when it was released, and a big gap between, I think, issues 1 and 2.
That's correct. Yeah, 1 came out at the beginning of pandemic, and then we just got 2, like probably sometime last month.
Right. So now we're only on issue 3. So because I still don't know the names of these characters, it's hard to get too attached into their stories. But Scotty Young and Humberto Ramos they're still telling a story that's compelling, and it's and the art, his art is like super different. Like the backgrounds that he's incorporating, and
Ramos?
the coloring. What's that?
Humberto Ramos.
Ramos, yeah. And the story that he's the storytelling that he's using through his art is, I think, a step up from what he's done before.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really compelling. I believe this book is being slept on. I haven't checked the numbers.
Agreed.
But if you're not reading this, I definitely think you should jump on. And as we said, it's only 3 issues in because of the pandemic.
Right.
So.
And for just a brief overview of what this book is about, it's essentially the magic school in the Marvel universe. Some would say the Hogwarts,
Mm-hmm.
as a parallel, but screw that, the person behind that series. But yeah, so this is pretty much the story of the not necessarily the opening, because that's pretty much, so Doctor Strange opened up a magic academy. Well, Doctor Strange, Zelma, and a whole bunch of other magic user folks started up and are basically teaching magic, and they're in the heart of New Orleans. And so they gathered all these young folks that with magical powers from various dimensions, and they're all at the school together. So we got a couple of Earthers, we got some people from like from Asgard and from the Dark Dimension, and this realm and that realm and other realms, and kids basically. So we got Dormammu Jr. in here, which I bring this up because this character in this particular story ends up seeing the future, something that could possibly end up happening in this book at some point, or going on at some point. But regardless, so they start off with just briefly, with a lesson from the Ancient One about, basically staying woke, because you got to keep that third eye open. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no.
Using the Eye of Agamotto, and they're learning how to do that, and apparently, which is something that like we know largely from Doctor Strange using it and the Ancient One, but apparently it could be shared with others to use and find So, but it starts off with that, and that kind of goes away, and then the kids end up going on a field trip into town, just to kind of see the sights since they had not done that since school opened. And they go to a couple of places. They get in a little trouble, and like I said, this character that I just mentioned finds a little bit of a future, or it could be his future, or a future down the line, and they have a nice little bounding section, and that's where this ends. Like I've been enjoying this book a whole lot. And I know there are people who don't like magic and don't like, don't give them the corner and that kind of stuff. But I think this is a pretty good book. And like AJ7 says, it's definitely slept on.
Yeah, don't sleep on it. I think this is really, telling really good stories, and it's got really good characterization. If there's one thing I'd want to end my contribution on this book on, it's the fact that Marvel has only recently embraced, and I've said this on this show previously, Marvel's only recently embraced the idea of legacy heroes. And this issue plays with that idea to a certain extent, because we see certain characters who could be perceived as or interpreted as legacy characters at the very least, maybe not heroes, but legacy characters. Sure. To previously existing characters in the Marvel universe. So seeing Marvel take this newfound or newly realized relationship with this concept and taking it into this into the magic realm there, and continuing to tell like really fun stories with young characters that are still grounded and based within Marvel lore. There's that word again. It's really fun. We don't necessarily have to have brand new whole cloth characters, but having these legacy characters really be crafted well and having their stories told well really does make a difference. So, right. We've seen it a lot with the distinguished competition, and less so with Marvel. So I think that it's a pretty good development for Marvel Comics as a whole to really develop these. They may not be strictly legacy characters, but in that vein.
Right. Yeah. There's definitely some new characters in here, and like AJ said, there are some that are kind of
at least grounded in right. Yeah, maybe not
grounded in some sort of legacy. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, on that point, there is a character that they've been kind of toying with that has not necessarily toying with. That's probably the wrong word, but there's a character here that even from the beginning of this book, from issue 1, they have they have some sort of a secret, and this is one of those ones that are kind of sort of possibly grounded in a legacy that we may know of, but also there's a secret there that is definitely not like the others, and they in this issue they kind of add to that, because you think one way about this character, but then you see something happen in this issue with that character, and like now you kind of wondering what else is going on with this character, because they haven't really done a whole lot with that, but we did just kind of
only been 3 issues, so yeah.
Hinted it. Well, there's that, but I'm just saying. But yeah, because like when you're dealing with a bunch of kids, and everybody's got in a school situation, and everybody got a thing. Like, yeah, they do have not necessarily a main character, but pretty much kind of the
focus character.
Yes, the focus character. Almost not necessarily a Harry Potter-ish type.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're not necessarily Neville Longbottom.
Right.
But they're also not necessarily Seamus Finnegan. I think was it Seamus Finnegan?
I don't know.
But Seamus, the guy who's always blowing stuff up in the movies.
Right, so. but she's definitely not also Harry Potter. It's like she's there.
Exactly.
She has got a sense of her powers coming into this, or at least getting a sense of her powers into this, and she's not necessarily going the same route as that other character aforementioned, but definitely in the school session with these other folks, kind of getting some time in. But this other character that I was talking about, Zoe, you know, I'm sure at some point they will get around to that. At least I hope that they get a chance to, because there's a lot that they could do with these young folks in this school, in this book, and I really hope this book continues to find readers and legs, you know, and let it not be taken underneath it, you know, like many other books that don't get a chance to shine. Hey, hello, Black Panther and the Crew and other stuff. Yes. So anyway, that is Strange Academy #3. Check this book out, definitely. Next we'll do probably one more, and then we'll do rapid fire. Fantastic Four #24. Let's do that.
Sure.
So while I type this up, you want to start off?
Sure. So essentially, Johnny Storm is kind of forced to reckon with one particular time when he left the Fantastic Four in a lurch, which allowed one, and this is not even that big a spoiler because this is actually something that was teased in previous issues of the Fantastic Four, but I'll ring the spoiler bell. One Bobby Drake, aka Iceman, to take the Human Torch's spot on the team, but not really in the family. And
Right.
knowing is half the battle.
Oh shoot! And I have that sound effect too. God dang it! I wish I could. Anyway.
I have it. I just didn't want to play it because I wanted to say it. I mean, come on.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
Oh, side note, this is totally off the thing, but I was also I was talking to Agent 70 about something before that I was watching G.I. Joe the movie, and ended up watching some of Transformers the movie. But I was also trying to rip some of my Transformers DVDs to put on digital, and there's some G.I. Joe like PSAs on that actually in that also, which I don't remember having because I don't think these ever showed it on air. And I was like, wow, they did it on they did it on Transformers 2, apparently. They just never put them out. So that's kind of amusing. But anywho's, well, there might have been some that showed it, but I think these ones that they put on the DVD did not. So anyway, so yeah, so there is that, and we start off with we pretty much start off with well, first of all, I would like to say that I was right about something from another book. In fact, a book that we just finished talking about that happened in the last issue that bears out in, weirdly enough, at the end of this issue. There is a backup story, but we will talk about that in a minute. That I was right about, and Agent 70 was like, no, that's not the case, but that's fine. Anywho, so yeah, we start off with
I was about to say, somebody's salty about being wrong more often than right. Oh no!
Well, yeah, if that's usually the case, but that's not always the case. So anyhow, so yeah, we start off where the family's getting ready for the big day, or at least they're going about the day getting ready for this big family thing. We find out some stuff about the kids that they got from outer space, the adoption papers or whatever went through, which I don't know how that works with aliens, but sure, okay. And we find them basically various members of the Fantastic Four family trying to get ready. We see, Reed and Valeria doing their stuff, with some project of theirs, and Sue's trying to wrangle them out. And then we see Johnny and Sky talking, and we get back to what kind of Agent 70 was saying about what he's going through, and we find out where Franklin is, which he was in Krakoa. He just kind of skipped off to Krakoa without telling anybody, and getting an ear piercing and this and another, which starts the catalyst of him coming back to the 4 Yancey Streets by way of Iceman and Ice Slide, which kind of starts the whole ball rolling of Johnny Storm and Bobby Drake, and recounting the story of how Iceman became, technically you might as well say it because they do mention it here, but it is as unofficially the first substitute member of the Fantastic Four, as a kind of a retcon, because this is a story that has never been seen before just now.
Right. I think I was about to say, just hold that thought. I think in real time, the first substitute member of the Fantastic Four was. I'm not sure. Was it Medusa or Crystal?
I keep wanting to say Crystal, but that might not even be true. It might. Actually, that might be true. I don't know. Yeah, I want to say it's Crystal, but I'm not sure. That would be something to look up. Regardless,
Yep.
but regardless, but this would set him up. This kind of sets him up as the first. Well, at least at the end of this issue, but spoilers on that. Um, we get the recount of how he ended up helping out the Fantastic Four, and we see what Johnny Storm's going through. As in going into in basically a story from the early days of both the Fantastic Four and the X-Men proper, because this is when the original 5 X-Men were a team, and Iceman in his snow-covered form of his early days. So he's still being the baby of the group, and that kind of sort. So you see, of course, as we used to actually see in the phases of the Fantastic Four, Johnny Storm, which actually even Ben said was like true. Yeah, I used to quit this team 3 times a month, or something like that. So, which was actually pretty much true, but you get the whole recounting of how that cuts off, and then the without spoiling anything else, what happens with Iceman's involvement with the Fantastic Four and being officially inducted into the Fantastic Four, and then at the end, we get, as Agent 7 says, Johnny kind of growing up a little bit more, because he kind of comes to a realization about that time, because he's all up, because all of before then it was like, yeah, that didn't count, this and that and other, and blah blah blah, this, you weren't official, and Bob just kind of comes into the results like, oh, this is why you're real mad. It's not really because I took your spot, because I didn't really, but it was because of this other thing, which you should actually read, and I won't give away. And it ends up with a nice ending of the book, and I really enjoyed reading this issue. It is another potential click of the week, from me. So I don't know if you have anything else in passing on that.
No. I mean, it's Slott really having fun with the characters.
Mm-hmm.
You could just tell that he's having fun with, even dipping his toes into the X-Men pool a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Now, that being said, so before we go on to rapid fire and whatnot, and now we get to a slight nitpick, because I have talked about this before, and it's not so bad in here, but it's still something notable. There is some, like, well, one, Reed invented I am, which, okay, you can pass that one off. That's not really the nitpick, because in this flashback from the past, you see, shout out to Willie Lumpkin, who shows up in this, just because Willie Lumpkin's got to be. But and if you don't know who Willie Lumpkin is in the annals of Fantasy Four, just go do some research real quick. Anyway, Reed invented I am, but Johnny basically says stuff like "stay in your lane," which is not a term that would have been said by Johnny Storm at that time. Again, this is
rubber band. Yeah, we know.
Yeah. Like, this is the thing that happens. Like, yeah, it was like we've talked about this before, and I won't belabor that point. But that was like my one nitpicking into this issue.
The best part is that Paco Medina puts Johnny Storm when he's hunting for chicks in a soda shop with a jukebox. So yeah, I know what you mean.
Exactly. So I was like, that was like, yeah, like he was Archie Andrews or something. But anyway, yeah, so that was one thing. Now then, that's pretty much that. Now at the outset of that story, there's a backup story, which the trade dress is. So most of the trade dress for this week and this month is about Chadwick Boseman. This one is not, because there is a trade dress that says something about Thor Nexus Ward, and this is where we get into the backup story, which is, and I did not like this, but it was also all right in a sense. So
you read this?
I did read it. Yes, I absolutely read it because I wanted to see what the hell it was really about, or what I thought it was about being
The
about.
second
So
I saw the word Fortnite, I was like, I can skip this.
okay, so yeah, so you just pretty much went ahead and I was leading up to that,
We did
but
not read that.
I was okay. Here we go. X Factor number 3. At the end of that, there was the last page where we see Storm and Hope and a bunch of folks in the bar, and they were talking, and then they get swept up by the Bifrost, and then they come back with guns. It has pretty much been confirmed that it's because of this, and this is so the backup story deals with Thor. And actually, they do kind of weave it in because I think it's Don Cates actually writing this backup story. But they do kind of weave it in what's going on with the new volume of Thor that he's writing. In fact, they do the footnote for Thor #1 in here, and him becoming Galactus's herald. Spoilers.
Okay.
So they do kind of it goes from there, and then basically puts it into. So I'm thinking this might be that this is pretty much that Fortnite book crossover that there is already out. So I think that for some strange reason they put it at the back of this for whatever odd reason. Now I don't know because I have not read that particular issue, but if it isn't that, then it's definitely a prelude to that because we see Thor and he goes into the world of Fortnite and some strange things happen to him, but he ends up in the Fortnite, and then he ends up calling for help by way of Sif and the Bifrost, and he just basically sweeps up a whole bunch of heroes from Marvel Heroes. Excuse me, a whole bunch of Marvel Heroes, some of which is Storm. I think we do see on one of which we do see a Storm. So therefore, that confirms what I said. Well, that confirms pretty much that thing that happened in X Factor at the end of X Factor number 3 that someone told me that was not the case, that it was from something else.
The video game, that it was a video game tie-in. Oh,
yeah, I'm glad and that was the disappointing part about. See, that was the disappointing part about this because we're like, really, it was about that Fortnite thing, the Fortnite Marvel crossover, and I was like, but I had to read it just to make sure because I was like, I didn't know if it was something like it was another Thor event that was coming up, or that, which ended up being that. So yeah, but like I said, it can't be confirmed that that's what that whole X Factor thing was also about.
All right, and a quick wiki search confirmed that Crystal of the Inhumans was the first substitute member of the Fantastic Four by 70 issues.
Sure.
Fantastic Four number 61. But obviously, this is being retconned so that the Human Torch, at least for a day, is a substitute member of the first substitute member of the Fantastic Four.
Iceman.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But he's substituting for, as opposed to substituting for the Invisible Woman. That's what I meant to say.
Sure.
Because the first two substitute members of the Fantastic Four were for the Invisible Woman.
And actually, now that I think about it, I think, and they do mention that in the course of this issue.
Right.
Because I don't think they say it by name, but they definitely say, but they definitely say, because of Sue's pregnancy or whatnot.
Exactly.
Right. All right. So with that all out of the way. Oh, and I guess I will take this time to say that, and we have news on this later on, but so we'll get to it now. This week's books also have a tribute to Chadwick Boseman, written by Ta-Nehisi Coates. And it will be in the news in the show notes, and we'll probably we'll talk about it when
be going on through a lot of the books for the rest of the month too, depending on which books have the trade dress.
Sure.
Because I think some of them have, as you mentioned earlier, some of them have maybe having this Fortnite trade dress on them also.
Right.
So I don't think were they in the I think they were in the Ten of Swords books, right?
Yeah, I believe so, actually, yes. Mm-hmm.
So I think this will be going on for the rest of the month. So,
Well, yeah, we know that trade drushes, and yeah, we can, and like you said, yeah, we can definitely probably assume that the tribute will also be going on through there. So,
right.
But that being said, so that's something notable to check out, and it's really touching. I mean, it's a slight flex for Howard University, but it's a really good tribute, and you should check it out. And I'm sure if you're follow like the Marvel the Marvel Twitter page or even News Nerds Needs, because I'm pretty sure I retweeted both Stealth Freeze's image that he did for it and something that had the tribute in full in it, because it's a 2-page tribute, because it's like an image that Fran Stealth Freeze did, and then the page where Ta-Nehisi Coates writes his tribute. Anyway, let us go to rapid fire. Yeah. And I think let me go ahead. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go because it seems like we still have a couple of books left, but I've got a few fewer books than you do. So
okay, sure, go for it. I was going to go ahead and do it, but yeah, go for it.
All right. First up, Avengers number 36. We both read this.
We did.
My take is Moon Knight and Black Panther duking it out, and it seems that Moon Knight is praying to something other than Khonshu now.
All I'm saying is it's a pretty one-sided fight, but it was a fight.
What's funny about it is that they duke it out, but because of the praying to something other than Khonshu, it ended up being more Moon Knight stalling for time to finish a prayer.
Right.
That's really how it ended up playing out, which is funny. So
something like that,
because it didn't play out the way anybody thought. So I thought it was a nice little twist, but that's what ended up happening.
Right.
Batman 3 Jokers number 2. The criminal Joker, and bear in mind there's supposed to be 3 Jokers in this: the criminal, comedian, and what was the other one? Criminal, comedian, and forgive me, folks. It's late. I'm tired.
Laughs?
There's a 3rd Joker. What's that?
Is it the Batman who laughs? Or
no.
Is that somebody different? Okay, I don't forget.
No, because it's essentially the 3 stages of the historical phases of the Joker's character, where they started out as a criminal, then he was more essentially a comedian, and then became something else, and I forget. But while I check on that, essentially, the criminal Joker almost finishes the job against the Red Hood / Jason Todd, and if you remember Death in the Family, you know of what I speak. As PCN_Dirt says, and we'll find out more about this later, we still aren't sure where this is all going. So, we're 2 issues in, it's still kind of vague. Next up, Department of Truth number 1. This is actually by James Tynion IV. It's a creator-owned book over at Image. Spoiler alert, this book reminded me of a flat earther joke I read this week. You can kind of get an idea that something about conspiracy theories and whatnot would be front and center in Department of Truth. The cliffhanger reveal at the end of this issue made me laugh, but it makes me curious to see where this goes. Next up is Philadelphia number 8, also from Image. James Sangster Sr. is on his way on the River Styx with Charon to see his dead wife, while James Sangster Jr., is dealing with the latest move by vampire Abigail Adams, and we see how their 2 stories again intertwine. And that is it for me. While I look up this Batman 3 Joker thing that is bothering the hell out of me now.
While you're doing that, I will go ahead and get mine out of the way while I'm still trying to type it into the notes here. Let's see. You did Philadelphia. I didn't read none of that. Falcon and Winter Soldier number 3. So this was a fun one. Another fun one is a potential click of the week. Now it's not at my click of the week. It's a potential one for me because it was so fun. But I will say there's a noticeable parallel between the Naturals, which I can't believe that's what they call this fool, parents, and the real life family and friends of serial killers and celebrity people who love to be like, well, that's not what the celebrity meant. That's not what this person meant, and not knowing this person at all. But or people, people whose family members are like, well, this person has always been nice and shy and this and that and other, and they never really hurt a fly, but they went out and killed like 20 people, type of situation. Anyway, but people deny that part, regardless. So anyway, Sam and Bucky pretty much get a lead on where the Natural is, and they cosplay as their former versions. Which that part was kind of amusing. They looked like they might have succeeded in talking this kid back from where he was going, which pretty much hanging out with Hydra and going bad. There was also a part in here that was like, well, if you love because this kid, and his parents are fans of Captain America, so that's notable. The one funny part about this for me was that I believe Sam mentions like, well, look, how can you be a fan of Captain America, but you're basically hanging out with Hydra, and I'm sitting here, and I sat here thinking like, well, Captain America not so recently was a part of Hydra, like thinking to myself, but that's not who was going with it, so that's neither here nor there. And I thought for a brief second that the kid was going to actually bring that up, but he didn't. He kind of went a whole nother way about it. But it seems like they found we pretty much find out who Zemo's rival is, but we also find one of the two people that the fellows are looking for in relation to that. But we still haven't found the other one. And I suspect we will find out that they may have something also to do with what's going on. Savage Avengers number 12. So we were talking on our back channel earlier, and I was kind of looking up to see if this was indeed the last issue, because I'm fairly certain this book is supposed to end at some point, and I thought it was this one. And it comes to find out in reading this issue that I had read this issue like months ago or a while ago when we got review copies. So luckily I kind of remember what happened in this issue, but Savage Avengers is kind of whatever. And the crux of it is that Doctor Strange and Elektra are having a little fling, go off to basically get the war party together. So they go and basically revive Dr. Voodoo, with some help of Dr. Voodoo's brother again, and then they go off to seek Conan, who is still in Mexico, wherever he is, and then they do that, and then at the end of the issue we see the rest of the war party before they go and take down Kulin Gorath or whatever. Again, I'm not sure if this is the last issue or is
you mix the two. It's Kulin Gath and Shuma Gorath.
Sure, yeah, there you go. Kool-Aid Man. But so that is that, and I'm not sure. Like I said, at the end of the thing it says next, and there's the next issue coming. So I believe if it wasn't supposed to end with this issue, then I think it's probably going to end like 14 or 15, because I feel like this is one of the books that was slated to that got canceled basically.
I was about to say, I guess you haven't looked at the most recent solicitations. I think this book goes through the new year.
So
I've seen. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen Savage Avengers solicitations through the new year, so it probably does take it through. What is this, 12?
Well, it is 12. This is 12 now.
Yeah. So if it's 12 now, it probably takes it right into January.
Well, which goes back to what we were thinking. Because I know we had talked. I feel like we had talked about this book being canceled at some point, and I couldn't remember what number it was canceled at. That was what I'm bringing. And partially because of COVID.
Right, at least through December. That's what it seems like.
So if it wasn't 12, it's probably going to be like I was saying in the back channel, it's probably going to be like 15 or something like that. But regardless, we're heading to the end of this book one way or another. Because if they canceled it now, well, I would be surprised, because they have done other books dirty like that. I'm surprised that they would do that to this book. But anyway, Immortal Hulk, the Threshing Place. So we were talking about this before, a little bit about this before the show. And I'll just say is that Banner ends up in a small town and running into a gamma involved Monsanto situation involving a little girl. And I pretty much said that, yeah, this seems like something out of that could have been in Immortal Hulk proper, like at the beginning of the run. But, being that, well, one, it's not, and two, it's not being written by Al Ewing. It's like a different creative team. It's Jeff Lemire writing this one.
Yeah.
We're not really sure if this is gonna have anything. It just kind of seems like a one-off. Like I believe, you can tell what you said about it.
Well, I mean, I think that it's just a one-off, but I don't see how this is going to relate back to anything that's happening in the main Immortal Hulk story. I mean, there's obviously a bit of a wait and see to see if this little girl at some point comes back
Right.
with Gamma, because there is, the concept that Al Ewing introduced, that once you go Gamma, you kind of don't go back, um, even if the Hulk kind of absorbed all the gamma radiation out of her. And also, this kid is probably going to be chased by the law because of some of the things that happens when she's under the gamma influence. So, um, we'll see if this has ongoing ramifications, or if it's just a really nice looking one-off story because Mike Del Mondo's on art and it's really nice looking.
Right. Now, I mean, and there's also precedence for a thing that that did get brought up in the main book that ended up coming back later that we thought was just something that would never brought back, because it was something earlier. Because remember the kid from early on in the book that ended up playing a part in recent stories in a way, not necessarily as it originally was, but in a way. So it's possible that this other kid could definitely come back into the main book for some longer, because I feel like they don't necessarily put this stuff out here for no reason. Like maybe they just had the story just kind of laying around, and it could be possible that's just a one out. But I would love to believe that there's maybe something in here that, if not the girl or something, that we'll go back into the book before it ends, so we'll see. Anyway, Injustice Year Zero number 7. Why did I even cut up my notes? Superman goes to see about Jay and Alan Scott, and there's possibly a passing portent to future, how basically the whole thing starts proper in the regular Injustice series. Possibly gets mentioned here. But also, Hal Jordan and Jay Garrick wants to get down to the bottom of what really happened to Alan Scott. And the Joker starts going after the Justice Society one by one. And also, Joker and Harley's relationship takes an inevitable plunge at Harley's expense. And it's not the type of plunge that you would normally think about when someone says take the plunge. Justice League Annual number 2. This is another potential click of the week for me, actually. Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice, murder.
Oh no!
Or at least so we thought. Anyway, basically, it's a trap, and you can see Akbar spinning, and the Hall of Justice kind of goes after the League, and I do enjoy the way that they handled the situation, and finding out who. I kind of would like to see more stuff like that, because basically the when it starts off, it was like, okay, so it starts off with like there's a murder and we need to solve it, so we need to use everybody's particular particular fields of everybody's strengths, basically, and not just like physical strength, and try to find out what happened here. But then it ends up going off to be the Hall of Justice set in a trap and by something. But I did like the way that played out, and I would love to see a little bit more of that kind of aspect of the team going on. So, and also the Flash has asked a question about the Supermobile that we've been asking for years. That I don't think nobody's really ever, that we've all had for years. But anyway, and that's pretty much that. And I got a couple of notes, but that's probably a little bit more telling about what ends up happening in the story that I don't want to spoil. Going on to my last book, Transformers versus the Terminator #4. I kind of skimmed this before we started recording. The Terminator and Starscream's team up kind of doesn't go as well as planned, or it was kind of more so the case that it was there was kind of a double cross, you would say. Prime and Megatron do their usual thing. Sarah Connor holds her own against Ravage, and everybody else is pretty much just a big knockdown, dragon on fight with Autobots and Decepticons. Soundwave is not having a good day. And of course, this being the last issue of this miniseries, it ends on a note that, as I must say in my notes, ends with a potential beginning. And I'll leave it at that. But overall, I kind of enjoyed this silly crossover. If you are a fan of the Transformers and or the Terminator, maybe give this miniseries a try. It's only 4 issues. And that, folks, is it for me. Clicks of the week. And we have 2 such clicks of the week from our absentee co-hosts. Let's see. We have from Dirt, Batman 3 Jokers #2, and I believe you had something else more to say about that.
Well, Dirt's note to us, we'll bring that up in a second. Dirt's note to us is that, as I said earlier, PCN_Dirt is also not sure WTF is going on, but he still wants to know, and he feels like it's toying with him. I definitely concur.
Okay, gotcha. And our other click of the week comes from Tim, which is Falcon and Winter Soldier #3. And I don't believe he said anything. No, he didn't say anything. So yeah, so that's that. I'm still.
I'll tell you. I was about to say. I'll tell you that I have a choice. I made the pick. It's a little bit more sentimental because I think that my runner-up pick, as I clearly stated earlier, X Factor #4 really, really had a strong story because it really increased the stakes for the combatants in the upcoming, Tournament of Champions. From the Krakoan side at the very least. So, that was just a really solid read. But in terms of my click of the week, I'm going to go with the #1 that came out this week, Shang-Chi #1,
nice.
Because it was encouraging to see that, they really did follow in the footsteps of some of the other miniseries, limited series, and just series that introduced us to or reintroduced us to characters with more fleshed out backstories. They use that formula to really give this character much more of a three-dimensional feel. So shout out to the creative team behind Shang-Chi #1, my click week.
Yeah, they're definitely putting some care into this character and this book, and I am looking forward to seeing more of it. I think for myself, so this is actually was a pretty good week for me personally, because as you've heard me say, there was a bunch of clicks of the week or potential clicks of the week. Some of which I still think you should check out, but I'm thinking I'm actually going to go with X Factor #4 because of the big reveal that was said in it. We didn't mention something that happened to a specific character to bring this about, but I don't know. We may or may not get into that going forward in this miniseries, but regardless, yeah, some things didn't change in regardless of where this.
I would just say read the book. Yeah, I would just say read the book. it's not for us to spoil every little thing.
Well, I didn't. I
But
wasn't
definitely, I
trying
know
to
what
spoil it, but it was-
Roddykat's talking about, because this is what causes this is what leads everyone to find out, the ramifications of certain things happening to these Krakoan mutants in other worlds. So,
Mhm.
I definitely understand that. But yeah, I would just say read the book, read the book, read the book.
Yeah,
We're not shills. We're not shills.
I'm not. Well, no. And my point was that there was a particular character that I've talked about in this character. The things that happened to that I've had kind of sort of issues in the past. Like it's kind of, yeah, what happens to this character is intriguing going forward. It is, especially for being the catalyst of what happens here. So anyway, let us get into an ad read.
Our first ad read of the night is for Funko, Fun at First Sight, your home for exclusive collectibles such as their world famous pop vinyl bobbleheads, apparel including t-shirts, hats, and socks, and brand merchandise including custom DIY pop figures, art books, and skateboards. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy 10% off your entire purchase when shopping at Funko. To place your first order with 10% off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Funko link and place your order. When you get to the checkout, put in the offer code SHOP10 for your 10% off discount. Funko through cspn.us. Do it today. And now we get into the news.
And we start off with the cinematic news as we do this every time this week. And I knew I forgot to do something because I meant to switch some stuff around. But The Boys spinoff in development at Amazon to focus on college teens with superpowers. So just weeks after the second season of The Boys premiered, Amazon is doubling down on the franchise and are developing a spin-off series. According to Variety, the new series will be written and showrun by Craig Rosenberg and is reportedly set at a Voight International College exclusively for young adult superheroes. The trade describes the show as a college show meets The Hunger Games with the same heart, satire, and raunchiness of the flagship series. They note it will be an irreverent R-rated series that explores the lives of hormonal competitive supes as they put their physical, sexual, and moral boundaries to the test, competing for the best contracts in the best cities. Okay, next.
All right, Marvel's Moon Knight is rumored to be casting two major roles. Marvel's Moon Knight series is rumored to be casting two major roles. It has been whispered by various sources that Mark Spector has already been cast, and the announcement is just waiting to be made. However, the direct is a website, the direct sources now say that Marvel is trying to build out the hero's supporting cast. Specifically, they're trying to nail down Jean-Paul Duchamp and Marlene Allron for the Disney Plus series. Frenchie is Spector's best friend, and Marlene is a love interest. For those of you who are not familiar with older issues and older series revolving around Moon Knight.
I knew that was going to happen. Okay. Nick Fury Marvel Disney Plus series in development with Samuel L. Jackson. So Samuel L. Jackson is reportedly reprising his role as Marvel's Nick Fury in a Disney Plus streaming series. According to Variety, Jackson is attached to star in the Nick Fury series with Kyle Bradstreet from Mr. Robot serving as writer and executive producer. Reps for both Jackson and Bradstreet declined to comment per the trade. So yeah. Next.
All right, in cool news, newcomer Iman Vellani has been cast in the title role of Ms. Marvel, Kamala Khan. According to Deadline, Vellani, 18, won the role after a long search. The Disney Plus series follows Kamala Khan, a Pakistani American teenager in Jersey City who will be the MCU's first Muslim superhero on screen. In a 2019 interview with the Canadian Broadcasting Channel, Vellani referred to herself as a Pakistani American Muslim teenager with immigrant parents. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And by the way, Ms. Marvel is expected to eventually segue into the big screen MCU.
Yeah, they went with a fresh face, and that's a good thing. Like, I definitely had a pick in mind, but this person was a little older and probably would not have gotten a role, and probably there would have been something, there would have been a stigma attached to it anyway.
Who's your pick? I was about to say, who was your pick? Because I thought it was going to be pretty impossible for them to find an established actress, even from like a CW, like from a CW cast.
True.
Like one of those, or like a freeform, cast or whatever.
Right.
Like, where would they find a Pakistani American? Whatchamacallit?
Well, see, that would be another thing, because this person is not Pakistani. In fact, this person is Lebanese. And my pick, and some people would think I was joking, but I was actually serious, and I don't know if this person had other acting chops, but the former adult actress Mia Khalifa.
Oh, the Pandora's box. Okay.
Cause yeah, and again, like I said, you can see the stigma that would have gone about it. But if you think about it, if you ever heard her in interviews, she kind of has that, kind of geeky personality, like I said, outside of the stuff that she has done in the past. But yeah. But anyway, congrats to what's the name? Iman Vellani. So cool. Next up, though, Conan the Barbarian live action series in development at Netflix. Netflix is reportedly developing a live action series adaptation of Robert E. Howard's Conan the Barbarian. According to Deadline, the new Conan project is the first in a deal between Netflix and Conan Properties International. This deal would give Netflix the exclusive option to the Conan book library to develop live action or animated television series and movies. Frederick Malberg and Mark Wheeler's Pathfinder Media are producing Netflix's Conan series, which is looking to find a showrunner director. Okay. Next.
All right. Falcon and Winter Soldier. Emily Van Camp wraps filming with a final photo. The Falcon and Winter Soldier has been one of Disney Plus's most anticipated projects, picking up with Bucky Barnes and Sam Wilson after the events of Avengers Endgame. As filming on the series finished, Emily Van Camp, who plays Sharon Carter in the MCU, shared a final photo, posting it on Instagram, which featured a black and white image of her chair on set. The caption reads, "That's a wrap. Always love playing this gal. Hashtag the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Hashtag coming soon."
And if you're watching the video, you can see said image, as well as the picture of the young lady playing Ms. Marvel. There. Now, this is also a rumor or report, at least that's the way I'm taking it. Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye Marvel series to feature villain Madame Mask. And I believe, and shout out to one Classic Materia, aka the Fall Classic, who said that, hey, maybe now they'll do The Tape. And if you remember Fraction and Aha's Hawkeye series early on, that was a thing from that. Anywho, Disney Plus will serve as an avenue for fleshing out several Marvel MCU characters, and Jeremy Renner's Clint Barton will clearly benefit from the year-old streaming service. The bolt-wielding Avenger has been established as a mysterious character, blah, 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 blah. Plot details of Hawkeye are still being kept under wraps, but the previously revealed working title Anchor Point may shed some light on the comic book's ties that the show could potentially adapt. Several bits of casting news from the past months may hint at how the narrative may be inspired by Matt Fraction's highly acclaimed Hawkeye comic run. There you go. Now it appears that another intriguing addition is coming to the Disney Plus show, someone who will spell out trouble for the MCU's Master Archer, and that would be Madame Mask, which would lend credence to everything that's just been said.
Interesting. They would put Whitney Frost into the Hawkeye story, see how she falls into how the rest of her story falls in line
with Iron Man.
If they integrate the rest of her story into the MCU.
Right. Yeah. Go figure. Next up, though.
The late Chadwick Boseman was immortalized with an original mural at downtown Disney at Disneyland in Anaheim, California. Artist Nicholas Smith posted photos Thursday of the unveiling on Instagram saying, "This one is special. My King Chad tribute is now on a wall on display at downtown Disney." The Hollywood Reporter noted that the shopping district is open to the public while the remainder of the park is closed due to COVID 19.
And you can see the picture of the mural with the artist standing in front of it on the video. It looks good. Star Wars Animation imagines the Jedi winning Order 66. So basically, a new fan-made Star Wars animated video imagines how the franchise could have turned out if the Jedi were able to win Emperor Palpatine's Order 66. This is probably something that could have potentially gone into, or could still actually go into Marvel's Disney Plus's What If show. I'm just saying. But regardless, courtesy of YouTube channel Star Wars Theory is a video recapping the events of Order 66 and imagining how the franchise could have moved forward if it failed. Clocking in at 8.5 minutes, the clip maintains key Star Wars moments during the pivotal time in the galaxy, including Anakin's Skywalker's turn, but imagines what if Jedi Grandmaster Yoda and the rest of the Jedi Order was able to sense that this was coming, giving it a bit of time to come up with a plan. And again, you can check it out in the show notes. Next up.
The entire DCEU will be on HBO Max with Man of Steel's October 1st arrival. 2013's Man of Steel is officially coming to HBO Max on October 1st. That's today. Meaning the entire DC Extended Universe up until this point will be available on the streaming platform. HBO Max revealed the slate of content it plans to add in October, with Man of Steel arriving on October 1st alongside such films such as Jonah Hex, Constantine, Catwoman, The Color Purple, You've Got Mail, The Matrix trilogy, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles trilogy. Go Ninja, go Ninja, go. Oh no, among many others.
Ninja rap.
You know what happens? I was about to say, we know what happens when I get tired. The comedy flows a little easier.
Some would say. I think worth noted that they didn't say anything about the animated part of the DCEU, but I'm assuming that part, the rest of that stuff is probably going to be there at some point, given what we already know about what's going to happen with DC Universe. Anyway, Aldous Hodge in talks to play Hawkman in New Line's DC movie Black Adam. So if you don't know Aldous Hodge, he was in Leverage, which was a good show. You should check it out. But also apparently he starred in City on the Hill and appeared in this year's remake of The Invisible Man. But yes, he's nabbed the high-flying role of Hawkman in Black Adam and is now in final negotiations to join New Line's action-adventure thriller featuring the DC Comics anti-hero starring Dwayne Johnson. Excuse me. So, cool. Yeah, cool. Next up. Sorry.
And next up, Batwoman Season 2. First photo of Javisha Leslie in the Batsuit revealed. We've talked about this before, that there's going to be a new character who's going to be playing Batwoman. And we've gotten our first look at Javisha Leslie wearing the iconic Batsuit. Leslie posted the image on her Instagram account showing what looks to be a screenshot of a costume test, along with the message, "Look out, Gotham, I'm suited up and ready to go, but just wait until Ryan Wilder puts her own spin on the Batsuit."
Cool. Let's see. Rey Mysterio leaps into the ring in first teaser for animated series. WWE superstar Rey Mysterio has shared a short teaser for his upcoming self-titled Lucha Libre-themed animated series. Listos, get ready, it's on! Booyaka! At Cartoon LA and add a couple of other people with some hashtags to it. Mysterio tweeted, the 8-second long teaser then shows an animated Rey Mysterio rise from underneath the entrance ramp. He stops to pose in front of the audience as an announcer calls out his name. Beyond Mysterio, the Jumbotron displays his face with one of his signature masks. After the announcer calls his name, Mysterio leaps into the ring and strikes a menacing pose as the teaser ends with a shot of the Rey Mysterio series logo. So there you go. If you're a wrestling fan, you can check that out. Doesn't appear to say they're here when this is actually coming out. But yeah, there you go. Next.
Okay, this is a report. I guess this is supposed to be more of a rumor. The third season of The Boys will reportedly make some major changes to Jensen Ackles' Soldier Boy character, while also introducing a new soup, which is what they call super-powered people on The Boys, as Starlight's former boyfriend. According to the Illuminati, Ackles will have been the only person to don the Soldier Boy persona in the comics by Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson. Numerous people suited up as Soldier Boy dating back to World War II. As for Starlight, the Boys will introduce a new suit named Supersonic that grew up with Aaron Moriarty's character. Okay.
So yes, so Soldier Boy will also be a rapper who had this one song called "Crank That," but that's a joke only if you know of who Soldier Boy was.
That's too recent for me.
Yeah. Also, Supersonic. Anyway,
well, that's what I was referring to.
I knew you would like that one. Anyway, the Boys cast Lord of the Rings John Noble as Butcher's dad. I believe he was also in Fringe, but that's neither here nor there.
I saw this picture and I realized which character it was.
Mm.
Which Lord of the Rings character it was. Lord
right.
Denethor. Oh no, not that guy.
Right, which means that Carl Urban, who, also in Lord of the Rings,
right,
is being played by another Lord of the Rings alum.
It's a little mini reunion.
Basically. So, but anyway, the Boys season 2 is cast John Noble as Samuel Butcher, the father of Carl Urban's Billy Butcher. The occasion is, well, again, like we just said, is a Lord of the Rings reunion, as this article also says, with Noble and Urban. Denethor II and Eomer?
Eomer.
Yeah, Eomer. So, there you go.
Remember, it's Aylmer and Eowyn.
Right.
The brother and sister, so.
Sure.
Eowyn is, whatchamacallit, I forget the actress's name. Oh, Miranda Otto.
Right. Wow, you really remember these names.
It's whatchamacallit. She went on to do, she's going on to do other stuff that I remember seeing her name in, so.
Okay, yeah, that's a name I'm not familiar with, but cool. Next up.
All right. Lord of the Rings series and Cowboy Bebop are back to filming. For better or worse, filmmakers and showrunners continue to resume their productions in the face of COVID-19. Among the latest to tread back into the tepid waters of doing stuff after taking some time off are Amazon's Lord of the Rings prequel series, as well as Netflix's live-action Cowboy Bebop adaptation, both filming in New Zealand. Okay.
3, 2, 1. Let's not go. Okay. Anyway, next up we have Transformers: War for Cybertron. Agent 70 has yet to see Cowboy Bebop, so that would not really. I don't know. Anyway, Transformers: War for Cybertron drops first.
Say.
Okay, when you get to it, it'll be immediately apparent.
Listen, I'm still on Naruto. It's gonna be a while.
Oh God, you might as well go
Naruto and Gundam Wing.
I was about to say you might as well go to but we've talked about this. We might as well go to Cowboy Bebop. It's much shorter than Naruto is, and probably picks up a whole lot better. Anywho, Transformers: War for Cybertron drops first Earthrise teaser. The first teaser for Transformers: War for Cybertron Earthrise, the second chapter in Netflix's CG animated Transformers trilogy series, has been released. The teaser was unveiled during the Hasbro Pulsecon virtual convention. We have more news on that later. The short video picks up after Siege, of course, with Optimus Prime and a team of Autobots awakening after being adrift in space after fleeing Cybertron. Whether the Autobots have landed, mostly likely Earth, they have been discovered by a member of a rogue faction of Transformers bounty hunters. Okay, so this sounds like this might be before they get there, to get to Earth. So, the third chapter of War for Cybertron, subtitled Kingdom, was confirmed to reintroduce the Beast Wars after a line of toy figures was also revealed at Hasbro Pulsecon. Again, we will get to that later on. Next.
All right, Chuck E. Cheese, oh goodness, is bankrupt, but it plans an animated series and live-action film. Good God, people! Family restaurant chain Chuck E. Cheese is branching out with plans to launch an entertainment division that will move into animation and movies. CEO David McKillips told Business Insider that the entertainment division will first try toys and merchandising of the character Chuck E. Cheese. He said for our demographic of 3 to 8-year-olds, all of our listeners, right? He is one of the most popular characters in the world. And the entertainment division is meant to be one of the company's pillars of growth, McKillips stated, though he divulged few details about its operations. He added, ideally, we would love to have Chuck E. Cheese in animation and possibly one day a movie feature as well. Good God.
So, yes, this is...
It was bad.
So this is not necessarily comic related, but you can kind of tell from what this is saying, there's probably going to be a comic book series about this at some point. Mark my words. Also, Five Nights at Freddy's is a big thing, so this is, not a surprise for those of you video game folks who know who that is. Next up, Warner Brothers' Hot Wheels film lands Now You See Me 3 writers. Warner Brothers announced a live-action film based on Mattel's Hot Wheels toys more than a year ago, and the film has remained in development since. Why is this happening? Who even knows? The studio has announced that progress has been made with the involvement of 2 new screenwriters. Screenwriters Neil Whitener and Gavin James are now attached to the upcoming Hot Wheels movie. According to Hollywood Reporter, the writers were brought in after competing against several other writers in providing a treatment for the film, which was announced in January 2019. I feel like we talked about it and probably said some of the same things even then, if we even talked about it. So, yeah, the details of the treatment has not been revealed. And again, like I said, Now You See Me 3, these folks are writing, which, guess what? There's a Now You See Me 3, I guess. Weird. Also weird, there's people been trying to get a Mask movie off the ground, and I find it very funny that a Hot Wheels movie is potentially going to come out before a Mask movie. Next
up, Scooby-Doo and Guess Who returns to Boomerang tomorrow, or soon, with brand new episodes and superstar celebrity Casey Musgraves.
Who?
Joins the cast as Daphne's new best friend. CPR has an exclusive clip of Musgraves' co-starring role in The Phantom, The Talking Dog, and The Hot, Hot, Hot Sauce. Boomerang will be offering the episode free to stream for a limited time. Okay. All right.
Sorry, moving something around here for a second. Boop. Last in the cinematic news, a little bit of fun note that I know Agent 70 get a kick out of, as he's already doing.
I heard like 5 seconds of this song. I started
Did you?
laughing.
Okay, I hadn't heard it yet because I was gonna ask you that. Fast and Furious's Vin Diesel trades in Nas for a microphone, releases a pop song. So Fast and Furious actor Vin Diesel is expanding his entertainment repertoire with the release of a song. Diesel made a surprise appearance on the Kelly Clarkson Show, which I am surprised that's still going on, to release his new single, I Feel Like I Do. Diesel said that since coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic has led to stalled productions on his films, he turned to music during the quarantine. Oh my God. I'm so honored to be able to debut my music on your show, Diesel told Clarkson. Have another creative outlet, another way to show you or share with you my heart. And you said you heard 5 seconds of it.
Yeah.
How does it?
It's definitely a pop song. It's definitely a pop song in the vein of very, very pop songs.
So there's a link to it here, and I kind of want to play a little bit of it, but I know how that's going to play out, so I'm not going to do it. So you folks can do that all, like I am probably going to do after the show, because I had meant to actually listen to this. You can watch the clip in the show notes on this article if you so dare. And now we will transition over into the comic book news. And we start off with DC debuts first look at Zatanna, the Jewel of Gravesend young adult graphic novel. DC Comics has revealed an official first look Zatanna's new I guess that's supposed to be at Zatanna's new young adult graphic novel by Alice Arden and Jacqueline de Leon, Zatanna, the Jewel of Gravesend. Written by Arden and illustrated by De Leon, with letters by Ariana Maher. The Jewel of Gravesend is set to hit shelves in April of 2021 with a cover price of $16.99. And gives a little bit of the synopsis here, which I won't give away because you can read it for yourself. Next.
All right. In the Flash 761, I think it was last week's issue.
Yes.
One of Reverse Flash's big reveals is that he's been using a secret power gained through the negative Speed Force against the Flash and his family to devastating effects. Thawne proves that he hasn't just been Barry Allen's main nemesis, but he's been affecting the entire DC universe for a long time. And apparently, big spoiler alert, the Reverse Flash helped shatter the Teen Titans. I'm not sure how.
So this is so I will get into this real quick, and I will say I've kind of said part of this on Twitter, and I will say it again. One, comics are real dumb. Two, and I said that in relation to Fire Force, because people talk about how the powers been come across in Fire Force, which is a good show. You should check it out. Are kind of bananas, given the crux of the main element of people's powers in that world. And again, I say comics are dumb. So this basically is, so I'm just going to go ahead and spoil it. The Reverse Flash gets some sort of hypersonic whisper, apparently, from the negative Speed Force. And he has used it supposedly in various situations, one of which is helping in breaking up the Teen Titans, because he basically whispered in Kid Flash's ear, who tried to stop Damian from doing what he did, but he went along with it anyway, and that's where this article talks about. But he also, and this is where I have another problem with comics, because this is so stupid, we also found out that he may have whispered into Wally West's ear, and which leads him into that whole Heroes in Crisis debacle of him accidentally, of him basically covering up the bodies instead of just saying, "Hey, I did this, and this is what happened." So, which means that, given that, this means that a villain is pretty much the cause of what happened to what's going on with these teams and these people, as opposed to these people and heroes having these issues and stuff. And I kind of hate that, because it's basically just like, well, okay, well, it's not that these people did these things on their own and had their mistakes and did the things. Like, oh no, here's a supervision that pretty much did the thing that caused them to do the things that they did. So therefore, taking the agency back away from them and just saying, it's like, yeah, nope, it's a villain doing this, and I hate that. I really do. Anyway, next up.
Okay. You got next.
Yeah, I know. Why did I put it in here twice? Let me make sure I didn't do anything crazy here for a second. Nope. Okay, we're good. Milestone Comics now available in DC's digital library with classic series collections. Milestone Comics is building up to the relaunch of the Milestone universe at DC by making this classic backlog of comics available on Comixology, Amazon Kindle, Apple, and more. It was announced during DC Fandom that the collected editions of Milestone Comics would be released leading up to the February 2021 relaunch, and the first wave has officially landed. Hardware, The Man in the Machine is available now, written by Dwayne McDuffie with art by Dennis Cowens and J.J. Birch. This will be followed by Icon, A Hero's Welcome On October 6th, written by McDuffie and M.D. Bright, with art by Bright, and Archon Volume 2, The Mothership Connection. On October 13th, written by McDuffie, with art by Bright and Mike Gustovich. So yeah, and then it just goes back with into a little bit of history on Milestone Comics. So yeah, so that one, so hardware's out there now on the Comixology for your perusal. Don't think it's on Unlimited, because I did not check that part before coming here, because I thought about picking that up. And I don't think it says anything about when Static Shock's coming. Let's see, Icon, yeah. So I guess that stuff's still coming later on. Next up,
the death of Chadwick Boseman is a fresh and painful memory just 1 month after his passing. And in this week's Marvel Comics titles, and as we discussed earlier, probably the rest of the month, he's being eulogized and remembered by someone who knew him for over 20 years, Black Panther writer Ta-Nehisi Coates, beginning with a Black Panther quote about death and the Wakandan idea of the land of the dead from Secret Wars #7. Coates' eulogy of Chadwick Boseman brings up their common ground, Washington, D.C.'s Howard University, where they both attended 1 year apart. I'm going to adjust this note there.
Okay.
No, because it said Howard Universe, where they both attended. Which, to some people, I just changed it to university.
It does. It absolutely no. Yeah, it absolutely does say in the audio, in the thing, Howard Universe. That's crazy. I didn't even pick that up. But editing, folks, is a thing. You should really do that. Have that. And I think Chris Aaron is let me shut up. Anyway, but yeah, you are right about both of those. And like I said earlier, it was a big Howard U flex by Ta-Nehisi Coates. But you should definitely check out the tribute, because it is quite touching.
But isn't it HU to the people in the know?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I'm not one of those people.
I was about to say, I don't know if you had any Howard University graduates in your friend circle. I don't actually have any, but I knew of from high school.
I know I follow a couple, at least one or two on my timeline. I don't think I know of any personally. But if you do know of anybody, they love going on about Howard and how So yes, that is definitely a thing that is out there, for sure. Marvel's Red Hulk returns in December's Captain America. Captain America will face off with the Red Hulk in an upcoming issue of the Star Spangled Avengers solo series. Plot details for the issue were scarce in Marvel's December solicitations, with the description only reading Red Hulk in capital letters. The issue will be written by Ta-Nehisi Coates and illustrated by Leonard Kirk. The cover comes from Alex Ross, and which you can see right here. Well, we know Red Hulk was around, so again, we're still waiting to see when and or if he's going to show up in Immortal Hulk. Is the question, which I know it's just probably a matter of when and not if. Next up,
spoilers, death may be the start of the next X-Men schism. I doubt it, but you never know. They might take it this way.
Yeah.
I had to click on the article to take a look, but essentially, spoiler alert, for one of the books that you're probably not reading, Hellions.
Hey.
Oh, I'm serious. It's one of those books that I'm pretty sure people are sleeping on. Yeah. I think it was an okay read for the first 4 issues. So obviously they're going to detour into Ten of Swords in the next 2 issues, I believe. So, but in the first story arc, they dealt with the ramifications of trying to shut down the former cloning base of Mr. Sinister, and one of his main clones, his very first, one of his biggest clone jobs, which was of Jean Grey, creating Madeline Pryor. The fact that she dies, spoiler alert, in this miniseries, allegedly may become the start of the next schism, because Havoc is not so happy about the fact that she is not up on the Resurrection Protocol list.
Right. And if you didn't already get the implications here, yes, X-Men was basically Civil War for the mutant crowd initially, which I don't think I've actually ever read, now that I think about it.
I don't remember. It's a long time ago.
Yeah. Regardless, if they do it again, then yeah, that could be the crux of it. We don't know. Who even knows? Ten of Swords, X-Men editor addresses major change from Free Comic Book Day issue. July's Free Comic Book Day X-Men issue was the lead into last week's Ten of Swords creation #1, providing hints for the then upcoming event. However, some fans noticed a major change on the Hanged Man tarot card between the two issues. The X-Men line editor, Jordan White, recently explained the reasoning behind that change. And it basically had to do with a couple of, I'm not going to go into it, but it's basically characters that was on some characters with one card and not on the card in creation. And Jordan White just kind of explains that because basically, hey, things happen in creating a comic book. And you can read that for yourself in the show notes, though. Next up,
In Ten of Swords, it's heavily inspired by the use of tarot cards that offer glimpses of the future. In the first issue, one text piece details a card reading done by the mutant Marie-Ange Colbert, no relation to Stephen Colbert, the precognitive mutant known as Tarot. Was Tarot a member of the Hellfire Club?
Hellions, correct.
Hellions, yeah, that's what I thought. So, yeah, that is a reference to her. I mean, this character first appeared, I believe, in New Mutants, so that's why this is entitled. It's a perfect quote unquote New Mutants cameo.
Sure. So, next up, Spider-Man Noir, an X-Men relic brings back the Spider-Verse's heroes enemies. So I did not read this issue because I have been reading this book. But basically, apparently the Imcron crystal shows up in Spider-Man Noir.
Oh, no kidding! I thought it might be the Siege Perilous. I'll be honest, I didn't read the article. I just saw that headline. I was like, oh, they brought in the Siege Perilous.
Yeah, I just saw the permalink, which sometimes the permalink ends up spoiling stuff, and I don't like that, but it's fine because I was going to read it anyway. I wasn't really that pressed about it. But yeah, so apparently the Imcron crystal shows up and does a thing and causes some problem.
Okay.
Yeah. Next
up, there is some cover art from a new Marvel Prose novel line. Aconite. Oh, Jesus, is that? Oh, Aconite. I guess that's the publishing house.
I guess, yeah.
Released the first two covers for its line of Marvel Untold prose novels based on Marvel Comics characters. The first is Marvel Untold, The Harrowing of Doom by David Annandale, with cover art by Fabio Listrani, on sale December 1st, 2020, here in the United States. The second is Marvel Legends of Asgard, The Sword of Surtur by C.L. Werner, with cover art by Grant Griffin, also on sale December 1st. Okay, cool.
No relation to C.L. Smooth, though. That we know of. Anyway, Luke Skywalker's secret lightsaber comes at a great cost. So this is a spoiler for Star Wars #6 from last week, which I did talk about a little bit. Didn't really get that far into it, but actually I'm going to take this next one too because it's kind of sort of related.
Exactly.
So if you did not know that the Luke got a lightsaber last week, but it's not the one he was looking for. It was a yellow lightsaber. If you know about the yellow lightsaber, which going into this next article is also a thing that happened. Star Wars, a classic Kenner lightsaber toy goof is now canon, except for the fact that it's not less of a, well, it was a goof then because we didn't have what we have now, but it's been put in the canon with the telling of the Guardians of the Jedi Temple basically had yellow lightsabers, and we've seen this in Rebels, we've seen this in Clone Wars, and now it's made its way to the comic book. So it wasn't just a goof from the toy line from back in the day, but they basically made that canon. And the implications of him having, and you can see the picture of him, the old Kenner thing with the balloon-looking lightsaber that we had to deal with back in the day because things were things. But yeah, like I said, the implications were that he now has the lightsaber of a Jedi Guardian, a Temple Guardian, in a nutshell. Next up, now we're getting some toy news. Yay! This is Agent 70's favorite part of the show. I know.
I was about to say, at least when it comes to the stuff that I collect, God forbid we talk about stuff that I get. Let's not even get into that stuff.
Well, at least sounds about it.
All right, so whatchamacallit? So you covered the Goof, right?
Yes.
Okay, so next up, Hasbro Pulsecon news. HasLab Vintage Collection Razor Crest revealed and more at the first ever Hasbro Pulsecon this week. Hasbro revealed a galaxy of major new figures and collectibles across several lines celebrating all eras of the Star Wars saga. Among the biggest announcements is one that's sure to please bounty hunter fans everywhere, a new Hasbro HasLab crowdfunding campaign for the Star Wars The Vintage Collection Razor Crest. In addition to the fan favorite Warrior's very cool ship, the release will come with a 3.75-inch Mandalorian figure in Beskar armor with a one-of-a-kind soft goods cape, but only if the campaign is successfully funded. It's already done. Want to make it happen? This is the way. You can pre-order and back the HasLab Razor Crest for $350 US Canadian. Price may differ internationally. If the campaign is backed with a minimum 6,000 backers by November 9th, 2020 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, the Razor Crest will go into production. That's already been done, if I'm not mistaken.
You're right, because I am looking at the page right now. It's got
What
9,000 backers, and the target was 6,000, so it is absolutely funded.
No, where are they?
Huh?
What was the number?
9,004 backers.
Oh, 1,000. So they're about to get to 10, and that's where the next story comes in.
Yep. Which you can go ahead and take that one.
Are you sure? Okay, yeah. So at $10,000, at 10,000 backers, that is, the $350 Razor Crest from the Mandalorian will get to actually, since it's already past the $8,000 backer stretch goal, the toy company has already added an escape pod accessory. Once it gets to $10,000, there will be a Baby Yoda figure included to complete with pram and the gear shaft knob he became fascinated with in the show, and come on a traditional card back. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, or you can be like, you can pay $10 and get the little figure that came in the Black Series. That, but actually you wouldn't do that because it's probably a better mold of that one than this one was. But yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a lot for that. But you could say the same thing about the Sentinel. So, but it's making it, so I'm not going to complain. Next up,
what I was gonna add is, though, this looks like a pretty substantial toy.
Oh, totally.
This is not like one of those hollow vehicles. This is, they make those hollow vehicles. This is not one of those.
I wouldn't be surprised if they said they were going to do another Falcon, like another model of the Falcon, and do something like that.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. Wheeled Stormbreaker with this life-size Adventures in-game replica, and I know Agent 70 probably already has his pre-order in.
No, no. I've got my Mjolnir. I'm good. If they have Beta Ray Bill Stormbreaker, maybe.
Yeah. This is definitely the in-game one and not the classic one. Fans will soon be able to wield the Thundering Stormbreaker in their hands thanks to Hasbro's recent announcement of life-size replica of Thor's weapon from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Avengers, Infinity War, and in-game. Hasbro is Marvel's Legends Avengers in-game Stormbreaker prop replica that rolls off the tongue, replicated Thor's axe, complete with a tree-like handle. I mean, it was a tree because it was Groot. In homage to Groot's sacrifice in the MCU's film. Imagine defeating Thanos with this Thor electronic roleplay axe. Entertainment Earth described it as on his product page. Activate exciting thunder sound effects with the push of a button. Fans and collectors can imagine joining the battle to save the universe. And you can see a picture of the model holding up Stormbreaker. Cool. Next.
I was about to say, if you didn't catch, I guess you didn't catch the
I still hadn't watched
the live video presentation, the live panel basically presentation. The one of the Marvel Legends guys had the hammer and the hammer axe and swung it around, and that thing is gigantic.
I
It
don't know.
is
It looks big from the
absolutely
picture.
gigantic. That is no joke. Like one of the biggest like role play toys. Whenever we get back to cosplay, and conventions, anyone cosplaying Infinity War or Endgame Thor is going to rock this axe, and it's going to be really cool.
True. Spider-Man dons sleek anti-ox suit, not antioxidant, in Hot Toys figure. As Marvel's Spider-Man for Felix 4 reaches its climactic ending, then Peter Parker discovers that he's responsible for helping. You know what? Well, whatever. This is a 2 years old movie, 2 years old video game. That he's responsible for helping Dr. Octopus construct the neural interface that grants the mad scientist control over his deadly robotic arms. So, to take on an enemy he helped shape, Spider-Man builds the armored anti-ock suit, that's OCK, suit to level the playing field. Now, Sideshow has unveiled Hot Toys' new 6th scale collectible figure for the iconic anti-ock outfit. Listed at $250 and available for pre-order with the estimated arrival date between January and March of 2022, this prize piece comes with a variety of interchangeable eyes, hands, and web accessories. So yes, you can see the picture of it here, and all of the accoutrement here, if you're watching the video, even with apparently web lines and such. That's cool, I guess. But yeah, there you go. That's the thing. It's coming. Next.
All right, next up.
In fact, you know what? I will save you the burden. I will take these next 4. How about that? Because they're
wait,
all.
Hold on.
Knowing how averse to video game news Agent 7 is, I will fall on that axe, or that web line as it is. Spider-Man Miles Morales pre-order skins can be earned in game. So apparently, folks, I'm not gonna tell you how to live your life. You can pre-order a game all you want to, but sometimes they're not worth it. And in this case, even up into including pre-ordering it to get the game early, so that you could be like, hey, I played the game earlier. That's just dumb. Or for betas, that's just don't do that. That's a whole thing that's gone out of control lately. But anyway, so the suits that the pre-order skins that you could get if you did pre-order will now, or probably always has been earnable in game, so you don't have to worry about pre-ordering it just for that reason. But pre-orders for that Miles Morales game went live already, so you can go check that out. Next up, though, Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered, new Peter Parker, PS5 details, first 60 frames per second gameplay revealed. So this is also another part of the story where they're doing a remaster of the Spider-Man game from PS4 and putting it on the PS5. We kind of talked about it a little bit last week, in that if you get the Ultimate Edition of the Miles Morales game, you will get the remastered version of the Spider-Man PS4. And this is some gameplay that you can see here. But it also comes with, apparently they recast, or they redid Peter Parker's face model. So it doesn't look like the one that is in the original game, which I guess could make that a collector's item. Maybe not, unless they patch it, the PS4 version. I don't know. I don't think it even says here. But basically, I will skip ahead and say that they addressed the change to Peter Parker, and basically said that they wanted to make the model younger to go along with Yuri Lowenthal, who is voicing the character's voice, and that is why the face change, or at least that is the alleged cause for the face change. So, which doesn't make any sense to me, but it is what it is. But last and not least, on that front, Spider-Man Remastered reveals Amazing Suit. So basically, one of the skins that you will get when you buy the Miles Morales Ultimate Edition will get a voucher for the Spider-Man Remastered, like I said. but it will also become, which I think I'm almost fairly certain this suit is already in the PS4 version, but you basically get Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man suit. I will have to see if that is actually true or not, because I feel like there's a similar version of this suit that is in the PS4 version. So I question what difference that this would be outside the fact that you're just getting it out the gate. And with that is the Spider-Man video game update for this week, and we shall move on.
All right, next up, Hasbro debuts new Transformer Beast Wars action figure line. Hasbro revealed the first look at 4 upcoming figures from the final installment in the Transformers War for Cybertron trilogy, Kingdom. The first look comes courtesy of IGN, with the figures drawing inspiration from the Beast Wars animated series. The figures that were revealed include Rat Trap, Cyclonus, Cheetor, and Megatron in his Tyrannosaurus Rex form. And we found out more during the Pulsecon event from this past Saturday.
Yeah, and I will go ahead and say that Cyclonus definitely was not a part of the original Beast Wars, so that was a weird one. But at the same time, you know, hey, it stands to reason, I guess. No new Optimus Primal, I guess, or maybe it hasn't been revealed yet or something. Anyway, next up, all the big reveals from Hasbro Pulsecon from the Power Rangers side of things. So Hasbro Pulsecon was the thing that had happened, and Power Rangers fans had got some amazing new additions to the Lightning Collection to add to their collections. The Power Rangers panel featured a look at several upcoming releases and some new lines with the Lightning Collection series, and also featured a look at Wave 7 to boot, which is up for pre-order now. And this article pretty much goes into what was unveiled. So basically, there was some Dino Thunder characters, some Power Rangers in space characters, and they even actually in the reveal they had some of the cast from the various shows in the reveal. So that was kind of cool. Let's see. Is there anything else? So yeah, there was this like head figures, pop-up head figures of the original Power Rangers. There's a says King Sphinx here. Yeah, the Pumpkin Rapper. There's a figure. There's a In Space Red Ranger and Astronema figures. And it looks like these are like sets. There's a SPD B Squad, A Squad, Blue Ranger. So another Red Ranger for Dino Thunder. Another Green Ranger, some Putty, et cetera, et cetera. There's the Pink Ranger, the cat version of Pink Ranger from In Space, from In Space, and another White Tiger one. So yeah, there you go, Power Ranger stuff. Next up.
Alrighty. Let's see.
Did you have more Hasbro Pro stuff that you wanted to talk about?
I was just putting it in until the last story, so
okay.
We'll get to
bring it up now if you wanted to, but
no, I was about to say the McFarlane Toys and Funko Pop New York Comic Con 2020 exclusives launched this past week. Todd McFarlane took to social media early this week to confirm that 7 McFarlane Toys in New York Comic Con 2020 exclusives are available at Walmart's Collector Con event. These figures include The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt Gold Label Geralt, and a whole bunch of other characters. These figures will be available to order at Walmart starting at 11 a.m. earlier today, October 1st. If you got yours, good for you.
Yeah, I guess more notable to comic book fans is there was a Spawn and a Batman Arkham Knight figure. That was also in there. Next up, Inkpen's Girl Genius comic available to read in Nintendo Switch's. Well, it's not a video game; it's more of an app. But okay, Inkpen, Rain Games, and Studio Foglio are making the entire 20-year history of the Hugo Award-winning Girl Genius webcomic available to read in the... Oh, okay. Maybe this is a video game. Sorry. Girl Genius Adventures in Castle Heterodyne Kickstarter video game on Nintendo Switch. I was thinking it was in the Inkipen app. The full press release can be found below, along with a short video announcement. I don't know anything about this video game or this Girl Genius thing, but hey, there you go. It's out there. Next.
Next up, NFL stars The Trap mixes sports and politics. What?
Yes.
Oh, former Chicago Bears linebacker Lance Briggs. All right, I'm familiar.
You got it now.
With this player and his move into comic books. So, former Chicago Bears linebacker Lance Briggs is moving into comics for his new project with a crowdfunded sci-fi graphic novel that's at once a sports comic and a polemic against systemic failures that drive the poor to crime, apparently. The Trap centers around Jalen Robinson, a rising star in the world of the new intergalactic sport surf riding, even though he hails from the least likely starting point, Earth. But when he needs money in a hurry to repair broken equipment, he agrees to a heist that goes horribly wrong and threatens to ruin his life completely. As Briggs describes it, the title of the project is a reference to a broken system that fails the people inside it, forcing them into making bad choices in order to simply survive. The 120-page graphic novel is a collaboration between Briggs, Kyle Higgins, Danilo Beyruth, Tamra Bonvillain, and Hassan Otsmani El-Hau, that is, with Sasha E. Head on board as designer. Good for him. I know he's been working on getting a independent book up for a long time.
Who's that? Who?
Lance Briggs.
Oh, gotcha.
He's been showing up to Comic-Cons and networking amongst professionals to try to get his independent book started. So good for him.
Cool. I was about to say there was a particular rant that I hinted to Agent 70 before the show that might have had something that just had something to do with something in that he just said. But anyway, we won't go into that. Gillian Anderson stars in her own comic book, which, by the way, just came out this week, to raise money for a good cause. Gillian Anderson's various TV and film characters have appeared in comic books before, but now she's starring in a straight-to-comics story, and it's for a good cause. 55, by writer-artist Gary Yap, imagines Anderson as a James Bond-style spy, whereas he's 007, she's Agent 55. And the quote goes, "For me, 55 is about the search for sanity and truth amid absolute madness. 55 is a spy in a chaotic world who has seemingly gone rogue, being hunted by very strange and unique characters from her past, other agencies, and even her own teammates," Yap tells Newsarama. And that's pretty much sounds like a book that I was reading a while ago that Brubaker did. Velvet. I believe that was Brubaker. So I'm just saying, this sounds similar. Anyway, but yeah, that book came out this week because I think I saw it on Comixology, so you can check it out. Last but not least.
Not quite last but not least.
Well, sure. That's what I had anyway.
All right, if you go to the spillover, you should sync.
Yeah, go ahead. You go ahead and do this. I'll get that out. Okay. Sure.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna flip the order so I can do the Legends article here. So Marvel Legends were revealed at Hasbro Pulsecon 2020. I'm just gonna run through the characters and the timing of them real quick. They revealed for fall 2020 a Hellfire Club guard figure. I've seen in the comics the Hellfire Club has several guards, so you may want to pick up more than one. And it's an army builder type figure, so you can get one Hellfire Club guard for $14.99. Next up, the fan vote winner for 2020 was Silk, and it's a newly painted version of Silk. The original one had the gray costume. This one has the white highlighted costume, and it has a couple of different hand accessories and a web shooting accessory. And that's what makes her different from the previous release. I haven't picked this one up, but I'm probably going to order it soon. As Roddykat mentioned, there is the Stormbreaker MCU role-play toy that's coming out. What was announced and surprisingly is already in some stores and is already literally on its way to me from Amazon is a wave that is Avengers video game based, which has a video game, another video game Iron Man, a video game Captain America, and like a stealth version. But importantly, for those of us who are looking for comic book based characters, it has a Jocasta, a Falcon in like a more modern costume, a Kang the Conqueror, and a Thunderstrike of all people. Yes, a Thunderstrike. I didn't order a Thunderstrike.
Yeah, we had a good laugh about that one.
Yeah, you can build a Joe Fixit Hulk, but it is a Joe Fixit Hulk based on the Avengers video game. So that is up there. There is a retro 3 3/4 Marvel line of figures. I think we talked about that last week.
Yeah.
Did we talk about the Spider-Man Wave 1? That's going to be it's mislabeled in the slide. It's actually 2020. It's going to be out next year in 2021 with like the more modern.
Yeah, I'm about to say. I think we talked about at least the Miles figure, but not the rest of them.
Right. So there's a Miles. There's a new Spider-Gwen. There's a Hand Ninja is going to come out with this wave, and the Hand Ninja is going to come with extendable legs for the Build-A-Figure Stiltman. So you can buy a bunch of ninjas so you can build Stiltman as tall as you want. Next on, there's going to be in 2021, there's going to be a Bring On the Bad Guys wave, which is going to include an arcade. It's also going to include a regular size Dormammu. We've gotten a Dormammu before, but it was a Build-A-Figure. We're also going to get a deluxe Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. It's going to be different from the previous Build-A-Figure mold. It's going to be more comic-based, so I'll be happy with that. And I think we talked about the fact that X-Men is going to have another wave that's based on Hoxpox in 2021. Right?
I don't recall, but it was that seemed like something that should have happened.
Okay, didn't right? I was about to say if we didn't actually, we couldn't have talked about it.
Yeah.
But what we got was a tease of a Moira McTaggart figure in some really swinging clothing from the 60s. We got a white Magneto, and we got a Professor X with the helmet from Hoxpox. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also going to get.
You were way excited about this one.
We were going to get. Well, there's a couple things before I get to the last one. There's a retro X-Men line that's coming out that's going to have a Gambit. They're kind of re-releases, but with different, with slight modifications. One is a retro X-Men line is going to have a Gambit that's going to have a slightly different head sculpt. And they're also going to put out a new Rogue in the yellow and green Jim Lee costume. It's also going to have a different set of hands and a different head sculpt. These retro figures are going to be exclusive to Target, which sucks, in the United States, and Toys R Us, which still exists in Canada. And last but not least, the final reveal.
Oh, wait, hold on. Before you get to that one, you did miss one.
What's that?
The Thanos wins Silver Surfer figure, which is exclusive to Walgreens in the U.S. and EB Games in Canada.
That's right. It's not the Silver Surfer black figure. It's right. the Fallen from the Thanos win storyline. The Fallen Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
And it's going to come with a Mjolnir as well. So.
Yeah.
Now, last but not least, the final reveal was the often requested Firestar, who originated in the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends animated series. We don't know too much about the figure yet, but at the end of the day, they showed it to show the fans that they're listening. That Hasbro is listening about what figures they want in their collection. So that's pretty cool. I'm happy about that.
Same here.
I'm excited to build Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it comes with a Miss Lion. And now all of a sudden I want an Aunt May.
Okay. Yeah,
I don't know how much I pay for it, but I kind of want an Aunt May. I want an old Aunt May. I don't necessarily want a Marissa Tomei Aunt May.
I mean, I
Unless we're
would,
gonna
but that's just
do
me.
total MCU stuff. What's that?
I would, but that's just me. But I'm also talking about real
I
life.
Yeah, real life is another story. But no, but in all seriousness, like getting like a classic Aunt May would be kind of cool. Like maybe as like a add-on figure, maybe not a build-a-figure, but just like one of those like add-on things that comes with the as like a bonus somehow. I don't
Golden
necessarily
oldie.
want to pay $20 for her, right? Yeah. So we'll see. But
I think they'll probably do it. They would probably do a golden oldie before they do an actual May figure. I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, they've snuck in ways to do civilian figures. Like J. Jonah Jameson was basically an add-on to a Chameleon, where they just made a Chameleon figure, but had a J. Jonah Jameson head that went with that figure. So it'd be interesting to see how they did an Aunt May. But like I said before, just as a final wrap, I will be happy to build. Whatchamacallit, a Spider-Man and his amazing friends.
Hell yeah.
Will set up on my shelf when that's available. That will be so fun.
And again, you'll have a Doctor Doom that you can mess with, because he was on actually, and I said this on Twitter. Like he was on. I was watching some the 81 Spider-Man, which is when it's just him before it turns into Amazing Friends, and Doctor Doom was on there like 6 times during the whole systems, which means the system, and his first 2 plots were pretty much the same variations of the same plot, which is funny, but
Yeah, doesn't he like jump on top of like a building and try to or is that one of the
That's later. Yeah, that's later. No. The plot was that he was basically trying to take over the UN by kidnapping various members of the UN and replacing them with either robots or something or some other an LMD or some other facsimile to make himself master of the world.
Gotcha.
And that was like the first 2 plots, and then there was a couple of other ones that came on later on where he's like, damn, I didn't because I remember watching that show originally because I'm that old, but I don't remember him being there that often. But then also he comes back in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends with 7 little superheroes.
Oh, that's right.
So you could actually, maybe you could do that. You could do 7 little superheroes especially if there's a Miss Lion. You could potentially do that because it was Cap, Submariner, Doctor Strange.
No Shanna.
Yeah, no Shanna. That's what I was thinking about. But you could pretty much do everybody else.
I'm like, there's a female character in there. As soon as you mention, like, there's a female character in there that we don't have yet.
Right.
I mean, could substitute somebody, but yeah, there's no Shanna. I don't know if there's a current Kazar. So when would they do a Shanna?
True, but you could pretty much do everybody else. So you could definitely do Amazing Friends. So and I will definitely be picking up this Firestorm figure myself, and hopefully it does come with a Miss Lion. That would be great.
Right. Honestly, what I'm planning on doing, and you can pick up this last story. What I want to do is the intro pages to Marvel Superhero Secret Wars, the hero and the villain intros. Each of them, there's some iconic Mike Zeck panels from Marvel Superhero Secret Wars where you can pretty much build all of the heroes now and villains. I'm short the Wrecking Crew, which is annoying.
Wait, is there Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau?
Not in that costume, but yeah, there is. She's in the Spectrum costume.
Right. Oh, sorry, that's what I thought. Okay, so yeah. Anyway, so that's that, and we look forward to more news on that Firestar when it comes closer to coming out. Last but not least, Mike Mignola's quarantine sketchbook to be published by Dark Horse Comics. During the widespread quarantining brought on by the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, comic book writer, artist, Hellboy creator Mike Mignola drew a series of pencil sketches, which he subsequently auctioned off to benefit Chef Jose Andres' World Central Kitchen. These sketches will soon be coming to print, with Dark Horse Comics set to publish an oversized hardcover collection next year. Published under Dark Horse Comics, Dark Horse Books imprint and featuring an introduction by Christine Mignola. Mike Mignola, The Quarantine Sketchbook, goes on sale in March of 2021, with all profits going to WCK, the World Central Kitchen. And it just goes on to the type of stuff that he was sketching, including the General Mills Cereal Monsters and, of course, Hellboy, along with others. So, yeah, you can check that out next year. And that, folks, brings us to the end of the show. We have another ad read, please.
Oh, no. Oh, I think you froze. You froze for like a half second.
Oh, okay.
All right. So we're done with the last story?
Yeah, ad read if you got one.
Last ad read from that is for Blue Apron. Fresh ingredients and incredible recipes delivered weekly to your door. Skip the grocery store and make incredible meals at home with Blue Apron. Always shipped free right to your home. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can get $30 off your first Blue Apron order. To place your first order with $30 off and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Blue Apron link and sign up for your first order. Blue Apron through cspn.us. Do it today.
And we come to the end of another episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. Thank you, each and every one of you, for coming out. I have been Roddykat. This is Roddykat on Twitter, News Nerds Need on Twitter, CB Caps on Instagram, Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram. Go check him out because he's doing Inktober. No pressure to him, but yeah, go check out his posts as he does them.
Right, I've already done day one, so by the time you read this or hear this, I'll probably be up to day 3 or 4. So just follow me at agent_70 on Instagram.
Yes. Also, PCN_dirt on Twitter, PopCultureNet on Twitter, PopCultureNetwork.com, and all his umbrella sites therein. Also, I'm assuming he's still doing this, so I should probably ask him. But Byte, BYTE, the Vine replacement under the name Comic Reviews, No Vowels. Tim, DOGG98, the Osiris Letters-ish and provider of some of the articles that have gone into tonight's show, which I did not know he wrote some of them at the time, but that's neither here nor there. But Tim, DOGG98 on Twitter, The Click Nation on Twitter, that's TheKliqNation, CB Cron on Twitter, which is the Comic Book Chronicles Twitter account. Also, theclicknation.com, but also most notably Comic Book Resources, where he's over there writing his face off. You can find this here program on the Cold Slither Podcast Networks at cspn.us.
Do it today.
And I'm just going to give another shout out to the founder of the Cold Slither Podcast Network, Classic Materia. Shout out to you, sir. Hopefully we'll have you on the show one day, because it's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also find this here podcast on your podcast perusal place of choice, whether it be, Google Play, Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Cold Slither Podcast Network's SoundCloud page. You can also find us streaming as we record every week around this time, Thursday nights, 9:30-ish p.m., except we got a little later start this week because of technical difficulties and me. But 9:30 p.m. on the Click Nation's YouTube channel, and also on the pretty much recently brand spanking new Twitch page for Comic Book Chronicles, which is Comic Book Chronicles, one word, no spaces. Hopefully we'll get some more content up on that page also and get some folks streaming. So, including myself, which I hadn't started doing what I was going to do yet. But nevertheless, we'll be there. And we will be here like we will be every week. So you can check us out next week around this time. Or you can check us out after the fact on audio from the places we just mentioned. Usually the show comes out about Saturday, Sunday-ish. during the course of the weekend. But we will try to do better about twittering about it when the show does go up. So stay tuned to our Twitter accounts for that. And with that, we end the show here and now, like the Luther Vandross song. This has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One.
Wakanda forever!